In the top right-hand corner of the map, our yellow Zerg to start things off is going to be Rex.
And down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, our purple Zerg player, he is Juggernaut's Meomaika, who seems to still prefer the overdrone or the extractor trick version of Zerg. You know, I remember there being a ton of analysis on this, especially when Legacy of the Void launched, where I remember the most sensible reason that was given for like the whole extractor trick being a thing before Legacy of the Void was that the timing of when like a 12 pool and all these other attacks would hit, or sorry, at the time it wasn't even a 12 pool, right? It was like a 9 pool or something, or a 10 pool. But around the time that would hit, you would have an extra drone to defend with if you did an extractor trick. So you would lose a little of your resources, but you were safer against like early pools. But then people have done all the math and stuff with extractor trick in Legacy of the Void, and there's actually just no benefits.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny, the extractor trick. It really is. Like, it turns out it's actually completely worthless, but then some people are so ingrained in doing it. The very particular builds nowadays, it can kind of be okay, like if you're going for like a certain pool first time or so, but yeah, it really isn't something that the majority of people want to utilize here as we get going in this CVZ. And now, of course, already Ling's on the way up from Meomaika, and even, I mean, it's kind of a longer map to get across, so even if you're like, oh, I'm just kind of afraid of him being aggressive, it's actually not ideal, because it's not like you can then just use these Lings to put a bit of pressure on yourself. Like, you can, but they shouldn't, in theory, do that much compared to usual.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's gonna be tough to see a whole lot of super early Ling aggression, at least to like Zergling speed or something finishes up. And even I guess that same kind of logic does apply a little bit to roaches, unless you knock down those rocks in the center and kind of open up some of the pathways for a faster move out or something across the map. But for now, it will just be little bits of light pressure here with a couple of those early Zerglings, which I will. It's not a major note, but it is a minor note to just mention that Meomaika is the one that kind of moves out with his Lings, and I don't know that Rex is doing quite the same thing with his as early on, so doesn't quite get as good vision into like the natural and the main base. But I mean, both these players are joining up, so I don't think it's going to be too impactful.
Yeah, I don't think so. I guess it is one of the benefits you get as Meomaika being the kind of initial aggressor here with the earlier pool, so a small bonus, but in this case, it doesn't really matter too much. I mean, Baitness coming down from Rex before third base means he is being relatively safe, and Meomaika puts down a Roachron because, like we say, we don't really know what to expect in this series between these two, and it's definitely got potential to be crazy. And this is already one of those moves which kind of leaves you thinking, like, oh, well, like, how exactly is this going to work? This is just looking like a straight-up 27 drone-ling Roach-Roll at the moment.
Yeah, I'm on board with that estimate of how I feel like things are about to progress right now, Wardy. It's gonna be something along those lines. It looks like so far, and I mean, it would be like a slow Roach all in, right? A slow Roach plus Lings, or I guess like Speedlings. But I like that Meomaika is already starting to get very aggressive with the Queens to push back those Overlords. But I feel like sometimes when you see the Queens start moving too far off of creep to chase those Overlords, at some point as a Rex, you might sort of start thinking like, okay, you really want to shut down vision. Like, you're really pushing these Overlords back. What's going on here?
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to be suspicious of. But in the end, Meomaika never built any Roaches. He's built Novies. And I feel like these drones come, like, he'll start to build some amount of Roaches as he eats a Baneling shot there. As he builds some amount of Roaches, I just don't feel like this is the timing to go across the map anymore. I mean, maybe he still sends it, but kind of surprised that then he droned. Maybe just, yeah, I'm not sure. It's definitely turned into a bit of a weirder scenario than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just straight up simple, Ling Roach attack, but now building some Roaches, now building more drones. It just feels like too many Roaches just to be safe with, right? And I mean, now you're going to get spotted, so Rex knows. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like this is not really working so far for Mio.
He definitely has to do something with these. And I mean, I guess that is the one nice thing, is that, losing the Queens. Okay, that's not the nice thing I was going to mention. Losing the Queens is going to be super duper annoying here for Meomaika, but the Roaches are making their move across the map, and he's forcing out some spine crawlers and stuff. I mean, there is definitely going to have to be a reaction here from Rex, but it kind of feels like if he joins all of his lings together, he might actually have enough to deal with these roaches without really losing too much. And that's going to be a big problem for Meomaika if he ends up losing these roaches without getting some damage done.
Yeah, he absolutely needs something out of these. He's definitely behind as the Banes. Causing issues for Meomaika as well because he just can't get his own lings into the fight. He had to pull back a lot. But now there is no Banelings, and we're just going to push forward here with just the roaches. Yeah, there's a spine, but I feel like this is engageable. I feel like we should just commit right now, get rid of that spine, and kind of continue through. I mean, Meomaika starts to lair, starts to drone. He's down 11 workers in total. He is absolutely not quite comfortable at the moment. It looks as though Rex is going to get into a pretty great spot, especially as Rex hits Carapace soon. His units are going to be amazing in fights compared to Meomaika's.
That is definitely going to be a big problem for Meomaika very, very shortly. I mean, we are maybe like 30 seconds away from that. And, well, Meomaika still not having a third base and retreating back. This is kind of doom, gloom, and disaster mode right now for Meomaika. He really needs to find some kind of magical angle to turn things around. And I wonder if something is going to come out of that lair that's going to be that saving grace here. And honestly, at this point, Wardy, I kind of feel like maybe something like Nidus for him. I feel like that might just be the play here.
Yeah, I feel like what else do you really go for if the leg doesn't have the gas right away for Aspire? He's going to lose his third hatchery. I guess, yeah, you kind of just Nidus and hope, but then I don't even know if his army's strong enough to really be successful on a Nidus, but then I guess it's more about trying to go in different places and play all over the place. He is just going to start roach speed for now. I think that's kind of a given. Nothing else for the moment. Again, as time passes by, he's going to be punished for not having an Evo chamber up, and he is just spamming out more roaches. I mean, I guess what choice does he have? He's only got enough drones to saturate 2 bases, and he has no third base to saturate. So yeah, Meomaika just continues to remain in a lot of trouble.
Oh man, this is going to be a really tough spot now. So what does Meomaika do? Like you said, it's a hard call. He's going to go for the roach speed upgrade. And I like that he is being aggressive and active with these lings, because in a world where both these players are just sitting back and get to continue moving forward in the game, I do favor the game still a little bit more for Rex, right? Even if he is on a slightly lower work account now and stuff, it's like, you can't just let the game play out and do absolutely nothing. I think that Meomaika does need to sort of take a bit of an initiative, and we see little mistakes and stuff happening there. I think our wonderful observer was pointing out how one of the gas guys is not actually saturated there for Rex. Little mistakes like that can happen when you're dealing with a little harassment. And Meomaika is going to finish off Roach speed over here, which will be a nice little boon for him in terms of some of the micro, but will it compensate for being down 2 upgrades? That is a bigger question.
Yeah, that is a great question as well. As these roaches going to start moving in, you do kind of want these Banelings to connect though, right? You want to clean out the lings. You want to get a bit of splash on these roaches just to help you out. That's some expensive units you've invested into. So far, getting the job done. All of his roaches are part of this fight as well, which means that, Rex is able to really just trade as well as possible. Maika's reinforcements are helping him out a little bit, and actually I'm surprised at how slowly Rex is getting through this force of roaches. I mean, it felt like he was going to chew through that with the upgrade lead, but took a little while longer, and so Meomaika is kind of making a bit of a hold, and barring upgrades, he kind of does even the game out if he survives here, so let's see if he can. He's, I guess, behind about 7 drones as well. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, this is kind of the size of the map coming into play as Meomaika just transfers drones while under attack, but does have this under control. He's had this defended, and Rex is unable to get a kill. And now Rex is kind of in trouble because he has no less, he has no roach speed. He can't go to 2-2 upgrades, so he can't improve his upgrades on what they already are. So Meomaika really does walk right back into this game, apart from the drone count.
Really, really interesting. I think one of the big factors there was that Rex, because like you were saying, the map is so large, Rex was reinforcing with a lot of lings. A lot of the reinforcements for Rex were just Zerglings streaming across the map, which definitely got there faster. But I mean, most of his upgrades are very centered around trying to make roaches, right? You have the missile attack upgrade and stuff. Even the Carapace upgrade, it can benefit the lings for sure, but it is still a little bit more focused on trying to help those roaches survive. Whereas Meomaika was just flooding out roaches, and he had defender's advantage for that. Now Meomaika gonna be able to snipe off 2 queens over here and get out of here with a handful of these lings. So nice little pick off there, even if he does lose a bit of supply in the mix. And he's tying up the upgrades. This is a much more playable game in a lot of ways for Meomaika, but he is still down quite a few workers right now. And that is still a bit concerning.
Yeah, I'm kind of just looking at this. I'm like, well, the only thing I don't like is that Meomaika had a chance to just build like 20 drones already. Instead, he's made a ton of units as though he wants to hit his own 1-1 timing, but Rex has just been ahead on work, is able to reproduce his own forces. So I don't think this attack of Meomaika is going to work at all. So I don't really like this moment from him. But I mean, it's an even enough fight that no one should really die here. Love the counterattack from Rex at the same time, though. This is exactly what he wants, just maintain a work lead. And wow, Meomaika is actually just going to straight up leave the game. It was devastating. I didn't think it was going to end the game, though, right? Like, I thought he just attack in is maybe like an even trade, but I guess with those lings running across the other side and actually the defender's advantage just meant it was way better for Rex than I really thought it was going to be there. I thought it was bad that he didn't have drones, but I just didn't think it was going to be a GG moment.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough spot just because I guess he already knew that he was down like some number of workers. I think he probably had a
Yeah.
sense that he was kind of becoming a bit all in, but I'm kind of with you. Like I feel like there was maybe a chance given what he was willing to stay in the game for before. It felt like that would be a situation he'd maybe still feel like he had a shot in, but it was
Mhm.
definitely not a good spot overall for Micah. So Rex gonna
It
be able to
was
claim that first game.
It's just the way he played it, right? Because it's not
Yeah.
like he was all in on this attack because he was already droning. So, like, yeah, he might feel like he needs the attack to do something, but he was already building drones behind it as though he knew, like, it wasn't going to end the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's what really made me feel as though it's like, oh, he's going to engage in, see that he can't get much done, but he's like, okay, cool, you've got enough units. I'm droning behind it, so at least I have something of an economy. And yeah, that counterattack maybe started to deal some damage, but it wasn't super deadly straight away. Maybe just stuck around in the attack too long. Because I think the moment he left it, he was falling behind for sure. I just don't know if he needed to be falling behind given the circumstances. So
Yeah, I
cool
think that's
little
actually
situation.
that's a super fair point too, because one of the things that we didn't even talk that much about, like we brought it up earlier on, was just when Meomaika has roach speed. One of the most powerful things about that is that if your opponent doesn't have roach speed, and roach speed was still finishing as that game
Yeah.
was ending, you do have the choice and the option to say, "Oh shoot, I didn't mean to be over here. That's a really large army. I think I'm gonna leave." And you just get to escape. You just get to leave and go back home and not worry about things, unless your opponent has like an insane swell of speedlings. But the speedlings weren't there because they were on the other side of the counterattacking. So it really did feel like you're right. Meomaika could have actually just backed off if he wanted to.
Yeah. No, I
Mm.
feel like he misread the situation for sure. Um, but obviously felt he was in a much worse position. Like you say, backing off would have been fine. Yeah, it kind of sucks that then you didn't build the drones earlier, but it was playable, I think. So
Yeah.
very fun game. Very cool ending. And in the end,
Hmm.
Rex ends up 1-0 in the lead. But it is the person who is not 1-0 in the lead. In the top right hand side, our purple Zerg is Meomaika.
And down over here on the bottom left-hand side of the map, sitting up 1-0, we have our yellow Zerg player. He is Rex, representing Onside Gaming. But I'm in full agreement with you on that first game. It already felt a little bit more dynamic than some of the other ZVZs we've had today. The other ZVZs were fun, but they were fun from like a step back, put your monocle on. Oh, this is like an interesting strategic choice, and the scouting pathing is interesting. The last game was a little bit just chaotic. Felt like.
Oh yeah, it really was. Me and Mike, obviously, his entire plan from the start was kind of thrown off, right? Because like he definitely
Hmm.
wanted to build just Roachling earlier, then he decided drone. He was like, actually, then I'm still gonna build the roaches and go for it, and they didn't do anything. And yeah, I mean, Micah's build choice definitely ended up putting him behind a little bit, and Rex getting up to 1-0 lead. I actually think it'd be really cool to see Rex moving through because Meomaika. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's always fun to see Meomaika and stuff as well, but I feel like Rex isn't someone we see as much of, right? Like we've seen Meomaika when he's had a crazy win or something, right? But Rex hasn't even really had that so much, so
Hmm.
it'd be cool to see what else he could do if he moved on through here in TSL. Like I said, I think it's a cool matchup for the fact that at least one of these guys gets to see the next round, where they would be pretty heavy underdogs in a lot of the other sections of the bracket.
I'm actually totally with you on that. I feel like the Taiwanese players in general are kind of overshadowed by Haas and Nice, right? Haas and Nice are the two Taiwanese Protoss players that everybody thinks about, everyone knows, especially Haas, but even Nice these days. And I do feel like there are some other strong and kind of cool players like Rex in the Taiwanese scene, and it would be actually really fun to see a little bit more of those players and see them get a bit more of a spotlight. But Here we have Meomaika trying to get a drone snipe, not quite able to make it happen. Good defense there. Great micro there from Rex with the drone drilling and everything. And escapes out of there alive with all of his drones intact.
Yep, always nice to keep your drones alive, right? As ling speed comes up on either side, it's a couple workers in the lead for Meomaika. He's down a couple of lings though, so you win some, you lose some. The feeling is just going to get in here, and that's actually kind of nice if you can just get some scout and maybe actually go for a drone kill of your own, which he's going to get. Full wraparound immediately, and a couple of links straight up into the main, so you get to see pretty much everything here for a while. It'd be great if you could stick around long enough just to see what spawns out of these eggs, right? Just to know, oh, right, it is going to be more lings right now. Just to know how aggressive your opponent is being, because that's one thing that's otherwise very difficult to confirm. It's the one big thing to really see at this stage.
Yeah, and quick note actually is Rex actually did skip Zergling speed as well this game. So while Meomaika now has his own Zergling speed finishing on up, we do have no Zergling speed, but just the full wall off over here. Tropical Sacrifice, here's my take on it, Wardy. I feel like the third base feels really far away. I feel like the third base is like the cause of almost every game I've seen lost on this map. It's a player defending their third base causes all sorts of headaches and problems. I kind of wonder how this is going to play out here for Rex. I don't hate the idea of just kind of two-basing it for a little bit, taking your eventual third off the back of, you know, roaches and some upgrades and stuff. This is very much so patented style to go for. But I really want to know how this actually looks when he tries to take that third base and there's like lings running around and causing all sorts of headaches.
Yeah, no, I do feel like Rex has put himself in like a tough position because it kind of lets Meomaika kind of do as he wishes. But Rex just seems to say, hey, look, if I can get up onto a strong roach attack, then I take my third base. Maybe he just wants to avoid that kind of crazy Ling Bane phase, right? And he's like, well, if we can skip past that, I can deal with anything you try and do too aggressively. Like, in theory, I'm safe early. And as long as I'm safe early, I'm more comfortable the later in the game, because the later in the game we go, the less weird you can be about things. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was like a big part of Rex's plan, just take away some of the strengths of Meomaika, who drops a Spire down pretty much straight away. I don't think that's too surprising, but if that Overseer had seen it, that would have been great. He will get to spot the lair timing at least, but yeah, obviously that Spire's in the back of the natural, so spotting that straight away would have been amazing. I mean, maybe even too soon, because you're like, oh, is he going to cancel it? Is he going to go? But at least then you know where to rescout. He's going to go Nidus straight away. There's actually still a big chance he can just punish the fact that Meomaika's being very greedy.
Oh yeah, there is a massive opportunity because Rex also he cut workers fairly early on to make all these roaches. And I wonder if Meomaika, seeing all these roaches, he realizes how big of an attack is heading his way. If he's going to have any indication that there is going to be a Nidus Swarm behind all this. So the roaches move out, and that is going to be kind of the first wave of the attack. The second wave is going to be off the back of that Nidus Swarm sending some of the reinforcements in. And then after that, it's going to be all sorts of headaches and just repositioning your units properly. Oh, the Lings! They're going to be able to jump in on top of the Nidus Swarm, but the armor for the Nidus Swarm is so strong, Wardy. Even if the Nidus Swarm goes down, the Lings are going to be trading out so many of their numbers in exchange to kill that Nidus.
Yeah, the tankiness of that Nidus was actually pretty sick, right? It buys you so much time where the roaches get to clean up all of the Lings. And Meomaika just straight up types GG Rex with a really strong showing here in this ZVZ.